welcome once again, folks, to another session of Let's Chat with me, Meor Addelan. Now, today is quite of a serious topic that we want to bring you into today, just because that it is something that has been going on, not just lately, but it's more of a cultural thing that has been happening throughout the years. We're going to be touching about sexual harassment. And the topic that we have is actually, is it just a harmless flirtation? Are things just being blown out of proportion? Are people are just being so insecure? It's just nothing, isn't it? And to talk more about the topic that we have today, I have a very special guest who is a lawyer, ladies and gents. Allow me to introduce to you Mr. Haijan Omar. You, as a lawyer, as a professional lawyer, maybe you have some information or some numbers that you can actually share with our viewers.
Under our law in Malaysia, is codified only in one statute, which is the Work Act. According to Section 2 of Employment Act or Work Act, sexual harassment means any unwanted conduct of a sexual nature, whether verbal or non-verbal, visual, gestural, or physical, directed at a person which is offensive or humiliating, or is a threat to his well-being arising out of and in the course of his employment. So, of course, looking at the definition here, sexual harassment law, or rather offences, only codified in terms of sexual harassment at workplace, not at other places. All right, but based on the numbers, of course, from what I gathered, based on the Asian Post sexual harassment in Malaysia from 2013 to 2017. In 2013, there were about 117 cases reported. In 2014, it went up to 190. Again, in 2015, it went up quite substantially as well, about 306 cases. And in 2016, it was about 338, but don't know why. In 2017, it went down. Maybe because there were more, awareness, but it went down to 267 cases. All right. Of course, we cannot deny, apart from all these reported cases, there were also unreported cases. It could be half of it were reported by the general public. It's because women, of course, are more likely to report incident than men. And of course, there were more awareness with the general public these days, so they will report the cases either to their superior or, of course, they lodge police report.
Okay, I do want to touch about that. You know why? Because again, when we talk about sexual harassment specifically at the workplace, let's talk about the verbal sexual harassment. Come on, it's just a joke, isn't it? Like guys playing around, they go around the office, they say such things and everything. It's meant to be as a funny thing. It's meant to be as a comical thing. Why are people taking things so seriously? Or is it something that people should not take it for granted? It is something that people should highlight. What do you think?
Maybe because we, of course, the way I look at it, we are in this systemic patriarchal system where this that man prevails over women. So of course the culture of men being flirtatious and all that are more accepted than how women being flirtatious to others. But the problem is that to me it's compounded by the culture. Malay cultures, or even Chinese culture or Indian culture, that men are dominant over women. So the problem is that when they make jokes about this, they must understand that whether or not it will affect the others. Mm-hmm. But of course, with the prevalence of internet, with the advent of internet, with more awareness coming, especially recently we have this Me Too movement. So of course, women, they are more aware about their rights. So, of course, some people, they say, calling people sayang and all that, it's no harm to it. But, of course, if you keep calling one's sayang, and, that other person, that other side of the coin did not really, they're very uncomfortable with it. And of course, it's not right. In fact, our government have taken these issues seriously, and from what I heard, of course, there's this sexual harassment bill is underway to be tabled in Parliament soon.
You mentioned off air earlier that most of the cases that's actually happening in regards to sexual harassment is normally done in-house, where it's not really being blown up to the public. They try to keep everything under the roof, but there are definitely cases where it has gone to a point where no solution can be can be received. Then they had to acquire someone like yourself to help them to prevail and to uphold the law, hasn't it?
So of course, if at the end of the day, a complaint will remain a complaint if there's no action being taken about it. Like what I said, because this sexual harassment is only focused at at the commission of that act in the workplace, and of course, it is provided for under that same statute. But under the same statute, of course, the most serious that a person can be punished if a sexual harassment complaint is proven against him. Of course, it is not that serious, because what action can be taken against them is either the employee will be dismissed, or either their post will be downgraded, or imposing any other lesser punishment, as the employer deems just and fit. But there's a problem. Question is whether or not that's enough to as a deterrent for other people to avoid or not to commit this kind of action against their peers in workplace. But at the end of the day, like what I said, the way I look at sexual harassment as opposed to the definition under the law, sexual harassment is where you give unwanted conduct of sexual nature, whether verbal or non-verbal, visual or gestural, but not physical. Because why? The moment it gets physical, then it's an assault to a person. If it's an assault to a person, then it becomes a criminal case. So of course, if it's under a criminal case, there are various instances where the AG can decide to punish that suspect, whoever that is. Of course, it will be either under Section 354 of the Penal Code, which is assault or use of criminal force to a person with intent to outrage modesty, or Section 355, assault or criminal force with intent to dishonor a person, otherwise on grave provocation, or Section 509, word or gesture intended to insult the modesty of person. So it can become ultimately a criminal case, which prescribes for either fine or imprisonment.
So I just want to ask you along these lines, because like you kept on saying over and over again, the Sexual Harassment Act is only precluded in the workspace environment. But what about the ones which are not? For instance, if you're on a public transportation, you're a young lady, you're sitting down there, and you got 5-6 guys coming at you, throwing verbal slurs at you. No, don't that count as some sort of a harassment, sexual harassment, maybe? Haijan?
Unfortunately, this definition is only confined to that commission of the offense in the workplace. But if it does happen outside, say, like what you said, like your instance, that it happened in a public transport, that this thing happened. Of course, this complainant, she's entitled to lodge police report, and it's for the police to investigate the facts complained of. And of course, if it gets really serious and all that, if it doesn't happen in a workplace, then of course the police have no avenue but to open an investigation paper under the penal code or under any other law, which is relevant to the facts.
Okay, so it depends on how severe it is, because again, coming back to the main topic,
not necessarily, because if it happens in the workplace, then of course Employment Act takes effect. But it happens somewhere else, I would have think that the police should take action if there's a complaint. So it can be classified as a criminal case.
Yeah, that's the thing. I do want to mention because of the complaint, because again, we live in a culture, unfortunately, we Asians, we Southeast Asians, we Malaysians, we like to sweep everything under the rug. More often or not, you tell somebody that you're in a predicament, you will get a response where, nah, it's fine, it's nothing, it means no harm, you're not hurt, right? It's okay. That sort of mentality, Haijan, is it actually healthy to have that sort of mentality, or should someone really take it upon themselves and do and act upon it?
Yes, I think because of that mentality, I think that's the way how the law approaches evidence from this kind of complainant as well. In a rape case, for example, the court cannot act on the evidence of the complainant alone to sustain a conviction without her evidence being corroborated by independent evidence. So that means if a complainant say that she's being sexually assaulted and then she didn't discuss it with other people, all right? Then after a while she took it upon herself to lodge police report. Of course, the court will first ask whether or not she discussed this with other people, so that other people can corroborate, can support her claim that such a thing happened at that point in time. So, which is, I think it's unfortunate. That's how the law views this kind of, complainant, or rather we call them witnesses.
What are the kind of things, what are the kind of steps that one person should take, should they want to take this to the eyes of the law, should they want to press charges, should they get themselves involved in being a victim of a sexual harassment case?
Whether or not it happens to male or female, both first need to be empowered of their rights. If they're not empowered about their rights, of course, they are weakened and they are afraid to come forward and tell their side of stories. At the end of the day, we know if it's just sexual harassment, of course, it's a question of his or her words against the other. But here we have a law where in court, the credibility of witness is tested at by way of cross-examination and all that. So of course, at the end of the day, it's for the court to decide whether that witness is credible. If that witness is credible, then at the end of the day, that other person who is accused of that offense will have to enter his defense. And it's for the court to consider his defense, whether or not this defense creates a reasonable doubt in the case complained of. Okay, that's one. Second, of course, they need, as I said, they need to be empowered, they need to be strong. So first thing, they need to come forward, and what they're entitled to do is, of course, to lodge this report. That's the first thing they need to do. And they need to act fast. They cannot wait for the incident to happen, then after a while in the future, maybe after 3-4 weeks, after a month, after a year, after 20 years, they come forward and say that, yes, I was sexually assaulted before. Then, of course, it's a question whether or not it boils down to her credibility or his credibility. Because the more you wait, the longer you wait, then, of course, there's no presumption, but there's an inference that this thing actually didn't happen. So you need to act fast. Those people who have been, sexually harassed at the workplace or somewhere else, then they need to act.
Haijan, Omar, thank you so much for coming down and talking to us about our interesting topic today. Really appreciate it, and hope you have a great day and be awesome. Thank you. All right, that was Haijan Omar, guys, talking to us about sexual harassment and how serious the thing is. And as what he has advised, act fast. Should you think that you are a victim, do not dally, do not wait, just act quick. If you can't go internally, get outside help. Because why? There are people around you who loves you, who wants to support you, who will support you in any way possible. But at the end of the day, guys, it's all just about giving the utmost respect to each and every one of us out there and live harmoniously and don't do this kind of things. That's all for this edition, folks. Hope you guys enjoyed this one, and we hope to see you again next time. Take care now. Goodbye.